Have you ever wondered why the Constitution of India begins with a short but powerful paragraph before all the articles begin? Why did the makers of the Constitution feel the need to include an introduction at all? Welcome to PS Choudhary. Before we begin today's topic, let us quickly recall what we studied in the previous lecture. In the previous video, we examined the nature of the Indian Constitution and the debate over whether India is federal or unitary. We learned that the Constitution contains both federal features, such as division of powers and an independent judiciary, and strong unitary features, such as single citizenship and emergency powers. Because of this combination, scholars often describe India as a quasi-federal system or a model of cooperative federalism. Now the next important part of the Constitution is something that appears even before the articles begin. That is the preamble. Let us understand it carefully. The preamble is essentially the introduction to the Constitution. You can think of it as a cover letter for the entire constitutional document. It answers three basic questions. First, who gave the Constitution? Second, what kind of country India wants to become? And third, what values the Constitution seeks to achieve? This is why many scholars describe the preamble as the soul of the Constitution. Now let us read the opening words of the preamble. It begins with the phrase, "We, the people of India." These words are extremely significant. They indicate that the Constitution derives its authority from the people of India. It is not a gift from any king, ruler, or colonial power. Instead, the people themselves gave the Constitution to themselves. This concept is called popular sovereignty. The idea of beginning the Constitution with "we the people" was inspired by the Constitution of the United States. Now let us move to the next important word. The preamble declares India to be a sovereign state. Sovereign means that India is internally supreme and externally independent. No external authority can interfere in India's internal affairs. India has the freedom to make its own laws, conduct its own foreign policy, and enter into international agreements without seeking permission from any other country. Now the next important word is socialist. This word was added later through the 42nd Constitutional Amendment in 1976. In the Indian context, socialism does not mean a fully state-controlled economy. Instead, India follows democratic socialism. This means the government tries to reduce economic inequality and promote social welfare while still allowing private enterprise to exist. The Supreme Court also discussed the meaning of socialism in cases such as the D.S. Nakara judgment of 1982. Next comes the word secular. This word was also added to the preamble by the 42nd Amendment in 1976. Secularism in India has a special meaning. In many Western countries, secularism means a strict separation between religion and the state. But Indian secularism follows a principle often described as positive secularism. This means the state does not favor any particular religion and treats all religions equally. At the same time, the state can intervene in religious practices if necessary to eliminate social evils or promote reform. Now let us move to the next word. The preamble declares India to be a democratic state. Democracy means that the government derives its authority from the people. In India, democracy operates through free and fair elections. Citizens choose their representatives, and these representatives govern on their behalf. India combines both direct and representative elements of democracy. For example, citizens directly vote in elections, but governance is carried out by elected representatives. Another important feature of democracy is universal adult franchise. Every citizen above the age of 18 has the right to vote. Now let us look at the word republic. A republic means that the head of state is elected rather than hereditary. In India, the president is the head of state and is elected indirectly by an electoral college. This is different from countries like the United Kingdom, where the head of state is a hereditary monarch. So the word republic indicates that there is no place for hereditary rulers in India's constitutional system. Now let us look at the objectives that the Constitution seeks to achieve. The preamble mentions justice first. Justice has three dimensions. Social justice means eliminating discrimination based on caste, religion, gender, or social status. Economic justice means reducing economic inequality and ensuring fair distribution of resources. Political justice means that all citizens have equal political rights and equal opportunities to participate in the political process. Now let us move to liberty. The preamble guarantees liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. These freedoms allow individuals to express their ideas and practice their beliefs. However, liberty is not absolute. The Constitution allows reasonable restrictions to protect public order, security, and morality. For example, Article 19 contains several provisions that regulate freedom of speech under specific circumstances. Next comes equality. The Constitution promises equality of status and equality of opportunity. This means that every citizen is equal before the law. At the same time, the Constitution also allows special provisions for disadvantaged groups to promote substantive equality. Articles 14 to 18 deal with different aspects of equality. Now let us understand the final ideal mentioned in the preamble. That is fraternity. Fraternity means a sense of brotherhood and unity among all citizens. It emphasizes the dignity of every individual and promotes unity and integrity of the nation. The word integrity was also added to the preamble through the 42nd Amendment in 1976. Now an important constitutional question arises. Is the preamble actually a part of the Constitution? This issue was debated in several Supreme Court cases. In the Berubari Union case of 1960, the Supreme Court initially held that the preamble was not a part of the Constitution and could not be used to interpret constitutional provisions. However, this view later changed. In the landmark Kesavananda Bharati case of 1973, the Supreme Court declared that the preamble is indeed a part of the Constitution. The court also recognized that the values expressed in the preamble form part of the basic structure of the Constitution. Later judgments, including the LIC of India case in 1995, reaffirmed that the preamble is an integral part of the Constitution. Now another important question arises. Can the preamble be amended? The answer is yes. The preamble can be amended under Article 368, just like other parts of the Constitution. For example, the 42nd Amendment in 1976 added the words socialist, secular, and integrity. However, there is an important limitation. The preamble cannot be amended in a way that destroys the basic structure of the Constitution. So the fundamental character of India as a sovereign, democratic republic cannot be removed. Now remember two important facts for UPSC. First, the preamble forms a part of the Constitution, but it is not directly enforceable in courts. You cannot file a case solely based on the preamble. However, courts frequently use it to interpret constitutional provisions. Second, the preamble states the date 26 November 1949. This is the date when the Constitution was adopted. The Constitution actually came into force later, on the 26th of January 1950. Now let us quickly revise the key ideas. First, the preamble acts as the introduction to the Constitution and explains its source, nature, and objectives. Second, it declares India to be a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and promises justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. Third, the Supreme Court in the Kesavananda Bharati case confirmed that the preamble is a part of the Constitution and forms part of its basic structure. And finally, the preamble can be amended, but its fundamental principles cannot be destroyed. In the next lecture, we will move forward and understand the schedules of the Indian Constitution and how they organize various administrative and constitutional details.